My name is Jeff French. I am the creator of Block Packs. I go by Frenchie in our Discord, and I'm ETH Frenchie on Twitter. Today, I want to talk with our community manager. I got Caroline; she's here, and we want to talk about our CryptoPunk trading cards and kind of what we've done there, and why we think it's really interesting, and why we hope that you'll feel the same after you watch this. So, Caroline, you kind of had a structure we wanted to go through. Help keep me on track. If you want to kick us off and kind of let me know where you want to start.
For sure. Thank you for the intro. So one of the big parts of Block Packs is the collectibles. Most recently, we did the Punk trading cards. So I would love to hear a little bit more about that and why you chose the Punks as the first series. I know that you collect Punks, so kind of want to hear a little bit more about your thought process there.
Yeah, so I think probably it'd be really good to just unpack a quick piece of our overall kind of one of the things a core belief that we have. It comes from really my decades of collecting since I was in the 7th grade, is that I believe that collectibles will be an emerging part of digital assets. I think people are going to genuinely want to collect digital assets the same way they do physical assets. And when you look at what NFTs are today, you look at things like Fidenzas and Squiggles. I put those in the lane of art. And when you look at something like CryptoPunks, yes, there are people that can collect them. I'm very fortunate that being an early participant and having some CryptoPunks, but you can't collect them the way you can collect sports cards or the way you can collect comics. They're just not accessible. And I have a core belief that with digital assets, one of the things that we will see emerge in this space collectability the same way we've seen it around comics, the same way we've seen it around trading cards, coins, stamps, graded video games, vinyl records, all of those things that became collectible. I believe digital assets will do the same. However, there's a lot of stuff that I don't think is necessarily a collectible. I love the Bored Apes. Bored Apes are not a collectible. They're a utility, an access NFT. If you come into the NFTs in 6 months, you can't go buy a Bored Ape unless you come in with a ton of money. Those things are for the elite, and that's kind of where they are. So either they're going to come way, way down, or they're going to kind of continue to rise and be this thing for the elite. So there has to be these more accessible tiers. When it relates to CryptoPunks, I have a personal thesis. I could be totally wrong. I believe in 10 years, a CryptoPunk will cost $1 million. I don't believe you will be able to get a single CryptoPunk for less than $1 million in 10 years. That's my opinion, not financial advice. I hold some, so maybe it's just my bag bias speaking, but I believe that. And I'm not the only person that believes that as they begin to rise, the scarcity of the CryptoPunks will be something that among the elites and the people that have the money to buy these types of things, the supply can never quench that global demand. Now, if that happens, CryptoPunks have risen to a level where everyone knows what they are. That IP, the intellectual property, if there's 10,000 punks, probably only 7,500 of them that aren't lost in wallets, because this was such in the early days, a lot of them are lost, kind of like early Bitcoin and that sort of thing. But of, let's just say, the total population, if they're at $1 million, that is an astronomical IP valuation. So that means so many people know what those are, but they're out of reach. The people that know what they are, they can't get them. So how do you get a piece of that franchise? Batman is worth a ton of money. Harry Potter is worth a ton of money. Pokemon is worth a ton of money. And each of those, there are collectibles that you can go get. With the CryptoPunks, they have their first ever trading cards. We released them. We licensed them from the owners. Yuga gave the owners those rights. Those rights then allowed those owners to license their cards in. These are the first ever officially licensed CryptoPunk trading cards. Blockchain doesn't lie. They're there. Their place is now solidified. So if punks go on to be $1 million and they're this big IP franchise, and other people have developed all types of things around punks and that narrative. Businesses have taken punks. Somebody takes their hoodie punk and their alien punk and they make it an adventure star in a movie. Who knows where all this stuff's going to go? But if they go on to have that type of value proposition and people start saying, okay, I want to collect in that sphere, these are the things that are accessible that they would look to. These are the vintage trading cards of the CryptoPunks. And that's why I'm super bullish on it. That's my thesis, that as the punks rise and that IP rises, what we built in this trading card set rises as well. And I think that's when I look around NFTs and I think about the other stuff that I can make a bet on, I love the idea of betting on things that are just, punks themselves have no external dependencies. They just exist. And I think they're going to grow in value. And these trading cards are kind of anchored to that. And I think they're in the same vein.
Definitely exciting. So I guess what are some ways that people can collect these and add to their collection and kind of enjoy building sets and so on?
So sure. So these are, we've modeled them after a traditional trading card approach. So when you rip a traditional trading card pack, you're often chasing what are the basically the same card, but it gets produced in different rarity tiers. So when a hot new rookie comes out, Ja Morant, you could open trading cards and you could get a common Ja Morant that at a time may sell for a couple $100. In those same packs, somebody pulls the 1-of-1 Black Prism, and that card sells for a couple $1 million. And then you have golds, you have reds, you have blues, you have different parallels, and each parallel has a different rarity. I mean, a parallel means how many of them are produced. So for the CryptoPunks, we've done the same thing. Each of the 31 CryptoPunks in the set, they have one black hologram. So we call ours. It's a 1-of-1. The people that hit those, that when they revealed and they got their punks, if they had one of those black 1-of-1s, the few that have sold, they've sold in the 2 ETH-ish range. Okay. So right out of the pack, there was people that wanted those blacks, chased them. And because maybe there was only 100 people that wanted them, there was only a supply of 31 that created the demand. Then you move down to the golds. The golds, there are 10 of them for each punk. We have people that have been working to try to build a full set of golds, one for every punk. The golds have been selling in the $500 to $600 range-ish. I don't think anyone's completed a gold set yet. I've been working on that myself, and I haven't completed it yet. Some of the golds, there just literally aren't any available on the market. So you have to wait until one pops up because there's only 10 of them for each punk. So building that set has been very difficult. Then the next one down is the red tier. The red tier, there are 25 of each. Reds, I think, have been selling for around $100 a piece. And I think there are some red sets. I think there's a handful of them. Call it 3, 4, 5. I think I have a red set now. I think I just completed my red set. So there's a handful of red sets. And then the blues, there's 35 of every punk for blue. And those have been $50 to $70. And then you get down to the aquas, and there's 49 of those for every punk. And I think they've been in the $40 to $50 range. And then you have the commons. For the commons, there's around 200 and a little over 200 for each one. And those have gone anywhere depending on some of the, and it's just weird how the supply and demand has worked. Some of them, you may be able to pick them up for $12 to $14. Some of them, the common, it may cost you, if for whatever reason, that common is just more locked up for some reason, it may cost you $30 or $40. But it's very accessible at that common level. So now, how can you collect? You can collect by going and picking a couple of punks that you vibe with personally and buy a couple of their commons, and you're in for not a whole heck of a lot. Sit back, squirrel them away in your wallet, be proud of them. Let's watch what the IP does and see how that universe grows. You can also collect sets at different levels. There's only 331 sets of any type in the entire collection. So that's one thing when people look at that collection, they look and they say, 10,000 NFTs, 8% owners. That sounds really low for a 10,000 collection. The reason is because so many people are gobbling up so many of them to make their sets. So in reality, the potential number of sets is only 331 that can ever exist. And 331 will never exist because you'll have some people that'll hold duplicates of one punk, and that every duplicate that gets held eliminates the possibility of a set. That's why it's hard for me to build my gold set right now. And so, but that's what happens in real cards too. And that's what's driving the demand picture in all this stuff. And so, that doorbell there, they've walked away. It's a package, so it'll be all right. My dogs are probably going to bark. Hope they're not too loud on the mic. But when you build that, if you want to build your sets out, that's one way you can collect. And another thing you can do is you can build what are called rainbows. Rainbows are where pretty much everyone who gets a black 1-of-1, they want to build the rainbow for that punk. They get at least one gold, a red, a blue, all the way down through the aqua. And most people will throw the common in there for good measure. It's not technically if you want to be a purist in cards, it's not technically part of the rainbow, but very few people that do the rainbow don't add a common. So that gives you a rainbow, and that's really popular. And people will do things like, I've seen people trying to collect that gold rainbow where they get the number one edition, because all of the individual golds are numbered 1 to 10. And so they want the 1 of 1, then they want the number 1 gold, then they want the number 1 red, and they try to build that whole set. I've seen 2 of those that have been built so far. These first, one parallel. I don't even know what you'd call that. I guess a number 1 parallel black rainbow. I mean, it's really freaking cool. But it's just that's what I mean. People, when you give people a chance to collect things, they collect them and they find ways. And we have people that are doing the opposite. They're doing gold and they're trying to do the number 10 gold, the number 10 red, and do that all the way down. Or maybe their favorite number is 7 and they build all 7s. Maybe they build a whole common set where they try to get number 92 of every punk and they build the 92 set. Give people a chance to collect and they find a way to do it. And as demand in the punk's IP grows, as exposure to the punk's IP grows, we're so early in this space. There are a couple of 100,000 people total in this space, a few hundred that are exposed to this punk trading card set. What happens when 2 billion people know what the punks are, and there are 1 billion people collecting NFTs of various types, and these are the punk trading cards? It's not hard to form a thesis here. It really isn't, and a really exciting one. And that's why personally I'm collecting the sets and building them. And it's because I really enjoy it. And even though I have real punks, this gives me some additional exposure to the punk's IP, which I very much love. I'm super excited about it. I mean, I think my excitement comes through.
Definitely does. We got to get you that gold set.
Gotta finish knocking that out. Yeah.
I guess one of the questions that I feel like I hear about not only within our community, but in the NFT space overall is the question of utility. So I know we've gotten that question a lot. Do the punk trading cards hold any other utility within the BlockPax ecosystem or outside of it? So just kind of asking that.
So it's very important to me that we do build utility across our BlockPax ecosystem. We have our Card Geek Hall of Fame, which is our access token to our community. You'll see me. I use that as my digital identity as one of those card geeks, and you'll see a lot of people from our community will have a Card Geek PFP. That's a utility play. That there's a lot of utility that comes with owning a Card Geek. The collections that we build, we have a point system that when you build nice collections, you get points. You can really do that without even thinking about it. Like if you just collect what you like, it's going to spit out some points totals for you. And those points totals are going to reward you in our ecosystem. So there is that. I don't personally call that utility, honestly. I've heard other people refer to it. So it's probably the semantics of the word. In my opinion, the punk trading cards do not have utility. They're collectible. You collect them, you get those points. The points then can do some cool things, get you stuff. They're not going to get you a Tesla, but they'll get you some cool stuff, right? And so if you view that as utility, then yes, there is. If you don't, they're collectibles. And I think their thesis, I think that makes them more valuable because of their collectability being what it is. If you needed us to do some big roadmap for those punk trading cards to be interesting in 10 years, there's a lot of risk that we don't execute that roadmap. I mean, I really believe, heaven forbid, we could go out of business. Those will always be the first punk trading cards. Jackie Robinson's best rookie card, the company's out of business that put it out. And that card is worth a lot of money. And please don't go and say, Jeff said BlockPax is going to go out of business. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if that terrible event happened, I believe your punk trading cards have a life beyond BlockPax. And I think I don't think you have to reach to get to that point. I think you can look at real world examples where that's happened. A lot of companies that created things, and those companies don't exist anymore. Those things still have value as collectibles. And I think whether we're here or not, these cards are going to be cool.
Well, let's hope we're still here.
That's the plan. That's definitely the plan.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Those are the only kind of questions that I had. I don't know if you have any other note. Oh, I do have one thing. I feel like people really actually loved the punk trading cards and are still having a lot of fun collecting them, building sets, rainbows. And I think everyone's kind of wondering when the next, trading card series will drop.
Well, I would look for something around our. We're working on a commemorative set around the proof of work era of Ethereum. That'll be the next one that we'll have. But I think we've really found a running lane for ourselves that there are a lot of really interesting things we can do in this genre. The same way Topps has their thing with baseball cards, Panini, basketball, and football. Soon it'll all be Fanatics. we have our own little unique world over here where I think we can carve out a very interesting niche. I do have the idea too that I would like to do some additional IP licensing from outside. I think we're well positioned that we can do a lot with that. But a lot of that stuff for like the biggest things, the NBA franchise, the MLB franchises and stuff, that's running through so much bureaucratic red tape and everything. And Fanatics has got their strong. We're not trying to go get that type of stuff. So I don't want to mislead anyone. But I do have a lot of other things in mind that I think could create some really interesting IP plays, and then also continuing to exist in our lane that we've kind of got this leadership position in. Like we were the first to do it. If someone else tries to do this tomorrow, main chain, do it the way we're doing, they're copying, right? That doesn't mean that they can't come and still beat us, but we've got that early head start, and we want to take advantage of that. And so we're going to keep swimming in that lane for sure. But we want to be mindful of the growth of our collector base so that there's enough people that, yeah, it's great to be early and get things at a good price and be that early person. But at the same time, we want to make sure that supply is well matched to demand, keeping accessibility, but keeping it where even right out of the pack, the good stuff, the rare stuff, has desirability right there on day one. So long-winded answer to say yes, more of that will be coming, and I think there'll be a lot of other stuff you can get excited about, but it'll never be. It's the punk trading cards are special. They really are. I mean, I would tell my best friends in the world that they should, to the extent that they have discretionary money to collect and put into this type of stuff, I think the crypto trading cards are a wonderful thing to go get.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Appreciate it. I think I speak for everyone when I say that we love the punk trading cards and we're excited to see what's next.